Okay, today we're talking shelters. I'm going to be doing a 1-year review on my Seek Outside REDCLIFF. Labeled as a 6-person teepee, and I think if you have no gear and maybe you're truck camping, that may be the case. But for my intents and purposes, hunting with full gear and multiple people and a stove, I think it's good up to about 3 people with gear and the stove and everything, and it's still very comfortable. So the specs of this teepee, I believe it's 132 square feet of interior space. It's 6 feet 10 inches tall with the center carbon fiber pole, and it's 14 feet long by 8.5 feet wide. And depending on how you guy things out and you stake it out, give or take maybe a couple feet. The material is 30 denier ripstop nylon, which is very durable and lightweight. It is not as lightweight as some of the newer stuff like Dyneema, but it's also more affordable. The weight of this base shelter with the center pole and stakes is right around 5 pounds. It is a floorless shelter, but you can add inserts like a half nest or liners. And I have done that in my particular setup. I have a half nest, which is like a fully enclosed setup with a zipper and a net. It just adds a lot of flexibility. If there's any sort of bugs, if we're camping in the summer and there's mosquitoes or there's critters or snakes, we do have an area that is fully enclosed that somebody can sleep in. The other side, I always keep floorless because in the winter, I'm running a stove. And that's one of the beauties of this system is it does have a built-in stove jack. And when it gets colder, you can run one of these titanium stoves in the backcountry and stay very warm and comfortable. So the weight of my setup here is 8 pounds and 3 ounces. And that's because I have a half nest, and I have 2 liners. And the liners help with condensation. I haven't had an issue with that, but I just got it preventatively, and it's been fine. All right, so now we're gonna go inside. I'm gonna show you the layout of this REDCLIFF. Let's go. The layout of the teepee starts with, there's 2 doors on either side. There's a door here with a zipper and a door on the other side with a zipper. 2 doors on this setup. So, this is the inside here, and you can roll these back, which I'm just gonna go ahead and roll this door back just to get it out of our way. So this is the inside. Obviously one benefit is you can stand. I mean, this is probably 7.5 feet tall, so you don't have to be laying on your back trying to get dressed. You can get dressed, which is great. So there's plenty of space. It's technically a 6-person teepee, and I think if it was 6 people with backpacks or small amount of gear, this would totally be doable. But when you're talking about big packs and hunting packs, it's probably more comfortable if it was no more than three guys. 2 guys in here or girls with packs, it's kind of like a palace. There's plenty of space. Now, if you wanted to run the stove when it's colder, late fall, winter, you would put the stove here or on this side, either one, and you would run the pipe out of here. So that's kind of late season stuff, but if it's not super cold, you can just run it like this. This is the half nest right here. So this is completely enclosed. The floor, everything is sealed, so nothing can get in here. If you're worried about mosquitoes, any type of bugs, insects, mice, snakes, depending on where you are, this is not a bad option. You can get 2 of these. This is a half nest, and then the other one would be over there, or you can get a full nest. The thing with the full nest though is you have this floor. I kind of like having the floorless because if you have muddy boots, you have dirty gear, you can just throw it. You don't have to worry about it. And also you can put the stove in. If you have the full nest, you probably, unless you use some kind of platform or something to put underneath the stove, that's going to burn right through this. So the full nest, you can't really have the full stove. These are the liners that I was talking about. So these liners just basically make it a double wall tent, and that's going to help with any type of condensation so you don't wake up in the morning and condensation is just raining down on you. So I have 2 of these. Depending on where you're going to be, your situation, you might not need them at all. I got 2 just to be safe. So plenty of height here and plenty of space. This is the other door here. I'm going to open this up. And there you go, plenty of ventilation. You can use 1 door for firewood if you're going to be using the stove, or you can just have 2 doors open. Getting into the performance of this teepee, a lot of people have concerns with wind and teepees just because of their design. They're not super aerodynamic, and it's kind of like a big sail. You know, it's a lot of fabric that can catch a lot of wind, and it can be problematic. On our trip in Montana, it was a week long of a lot of wind, you know, constant 20-mile-an-hour winds per day. And then a few nights we had 50-plus-mile-an-hour gusts. And I will say that this thing was flapping like crazy, but because we set it up properly, we guided it up properly, it stayed intact. There was no issues. It was just kind of loud flapping, but it didn't rip and it held up, and the durability was awesome. So I was super, super happy about that. I know people do have concerns with teepees, but this one did a great job. As far as other elements, I've had it in some light rain, and there was no issues with that at all. A little bit of pulling on the skirt on the bottom. In the morning, you just kind of, you know, tap it off and it's good to go. Haven't had it in a ton of snow, so don't know about that, but overall performance and durability, I would say, was really good. No rips, and we had it in some pretty rough backcountry environments. So I think the most amazing thing about this teepee is just the amount of space you have. It's really like a backcountry palace. It's really comfortable. You can have a little camp chair in there. You have space to stand up and get dressed because it's so tall. You can eat dinners in there. Plenty of space for your gear and a stove. You know, I was hunting in Arizona in December this year, and you know, the nights were getting down into the teens, and having the ability to stay warm was amazing. And this thing, it gets really toasty. If you just kind of keep feeding it, you can get it really warm and comfortable, you know, well below freezing temperature. So I think that is an awesome benefit that kind of keeps you comfortable and keeps you in the elements and keeps you hunting. You know, when it's really cold. So from the factory, this can come seam sealed. You can opt to seam seal it yourself, or for, I think it's another $100, they can seam seal it for you. That's what I did just because it was easier. And it also comes with a center carbon fiber pole that kind of snaps down and breaks down into 5 little pieces, which is quite packable and lightweight. It also comes with, I think, 12 stakes. And on the outside of the teepee, there are 6 points, guy out points, where you can run guy out lines. And I think that's pretty important to do, especially if you're dealing with any type of wind. Packability, I would say this is a good option if you have multiple people to kind of divide up the weight of your camp. And then it makes sense, you know, per square foot, per weight. I think it does really well. So in that case, yeah, I would say it's packable. For solo hunting, probably this REDCLIFF, probably not the best option. As far as cost of this, the base model of this with the center pole and the stakes is around $800. And for a 6-person teepee, that's very comparable to a lot of its competitors. You generally see it in that $800 to $900 range for the base setups. Now, once you start adding liners and nests and a stove, you know, you're well above $1,000. So it is quite expensive for a shelter, but if it's something that you're going to be using quite a bit in the backcountry for many years, I think it's definitely worth its weight. All right, to wrap things up, who would I recommend this shelter system to? I would recommend this to anybody that's going to be doing extensive backcountry hunting or camping with multiple people. So in particular, 2 to 3 people, I think, is the sweet spot. If you're going to be doing solo stuff, this setup is too much. You know, with this being, for me, this one's like a little over 8 pounds, but even if it's just the base setup for this, 5 to 6 pounds, I think that's too much for one person. In addition, if you're going to be running a titanium stove, these are a little bit over 3 pounds. I think this would be way too much for one person. I've done it, and it was a little bit too much to carry deep into the backcountry for one person. For 2 people, definitely doable. 3 people, I think the weight to size ratio with 3 people in the backcountry is kind of the sweet spot, and I think this REDCLIFF model is really catered to that, and I think that's really who it's best for. If you know it's just going to be you and one other person, or just you, they make a smaller model called the Cimarron, which may be better. If you're on the fence, which I was, whether it's going to be 2 people or 3 people, I think the REDCLIFF is still a great option because it's fine with 2, and it's even better and makes more sense for 3. All right, so that's a wrap on my Seek Outside REDCLIFF. I can't wait to get out and use this again soon, whether that's just doing some camping with the family or on my next hunt adventures. The REDCLIFF is awesome. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. If you like this content, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.